I'm going to reiterate very briefly some of the comments that are already made by Mr. Royer and Mr. Barker. But I think the biggest thing is that, they've really kind of given you, overloaded you with information. And I think that's a good thing, because you guys now have the resources to make the decisions, the best decisions for your constituents. The comments about environment, the pythons and boas could not live here. All plain and simple, they could not do it. It's just not the right environment. There's also one other component that they did not bring up, and that's the educational component. And I think that's a big one. When you start talking about education and conservation, a lot of our future generations, the way they're getting into a lot of this stuff, and they're finding out about, wildlife and nature and conservation, is by owning some of these pets. So I think there's a big component there that we can't forget about, and that's the future generations that are going to be, exposed to these things, and will have a better appreciation for our environment and our ecosystems. I have a personal interest in that. I just started a wildlife hospital down in the Corpus Christi area, and so part of the couple of species that I work on are sea turtles, but it's also the Texas tortoise. So I have a personal interest in making sure that we don't have any exotic animals that are coming in that are native Texas species that we deal with here. So if this was going to be an issue, I'd be the first one to tell you that it's going to be an issue, but this is not going to be an issue. So as far as the venomous, I'll just speak briefly on the venomous species. You guys are very fortunate in the fact that we have San Antonio Zoo right down the road. We have, you have good hospitals here in the general surrounding areas. And because of that, we have some good resources to reach towards and say, hey, we have some venomous animals. Do you have a supply of antivenom for this species or this species? It's not going to be hard to get based on where you guys are located. So you're not out in the bush somewhere in the middle of a third world country. So it's really a good thing and a benefit. So like I said, I'm going to keep my comment short. I want to open up for any, I have two goals today. One is, to clear up any misconceptions or misinformation you guys may have about things. And second, just to offer my services to you guys if y'all have further questions or anything else, either here or outside on a personal level also. So, and I'll kind of leave it at that and leave it open for questions if you guys have anything specific that you need from me or would like to hear from me.
On this booklet, sir, the one that y'all hand out, where did y'all get those regulations for the certain reptiles?
Those are from the state of North Carolina. United States Association of Reptile Keepers, they have lawyers on staff, as well as the U.S. Herp Alliance, that draft those, and they worked with the state to put that in place.
So
That's
other
what-
counties do have this, or just,
I'm sorry?
does other counties have the regulations?
Variations of it, yes, sir, absolutely, and other states as well. Florida probably has the strictest regulations in place because, of course, the Burmese python issue down there.
And,
But
and to speak to that probably, and you bring up a very good point, Florida, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Florida's already been through a lot of these things before, so it's something we can kind of model things we need to after what they're doing is appropriate for our area. Yeah, the counties are all kind of different, there's no blanket across,
Right.
but yeah, they're fairly similar in their approach and their directives.
We're, is everyone that's going to speak? Folks?
yes, sir,
We're limited on research,
of course.
resources and everything, and I don't know about the rest of the court.
I would like to have time to read it over. and-
What I'd like to do is, like I said, now it's time to read it over, and then submit something on this order to the court
Yes, sir.
in a legal form that actually protects our citizens and protects you as a owner that we can agree with, and then we may supplement that for what we pass. We always encourage all the information on anything before we make a decision. We made this to protect our citizens, and if y'all made a very good presentation today, and if you will do that, yes, sir.
I showed up here for this hearing. I know several of these people, I'm not part of that, but one of the things that you had asked, and he would be able to allude to this, is the fact of what about some of these cobras getting loose and establishing here? And you brought up the fact that yes, some can come from a dry, arid area. One of the problems you have with those types of animals being established is, one, for a lot of the tropical species, it's just too cold, they're not gonna make it. Secondly, when you get into some of these species that are from extremely arid or dry area, the humidity's too high here. It starts to cause all kinds of respiratory infections and different things like that. And he can probably answer those questions for you much, much better about those. They're just, it's not advantageous. When you start removing things, and any of these guys that keep boas, pythons, I kept them 20 years ago, I don't keep them now. It's very difficult. There's certain things that you have to do. The temperature has to be just right. The humidity has to be just right. If not, you end up with a bunch of sick snakes, respiratory infections, pneumonias, all kinds of other things. So it's not that most any of these animals are gonna get out and just do fine here. It is just the wrong environment when you bring a snake into here. So certainly, yes, maybe for a year they're gonna run around, but they are gonna be overcome, just like we had with, a lot of, I used to breed deer, had scientific breeding permits, so we would bring down, and all these northern species of deer, guess what? They get all the cattle illnesses. So we had none of the problems. The snakes experience the same things.
First off, I'm Dr. Hill, and I think that I'm the one that opened the lid on this can of worms. And I certainly didn't mean to get into anybody's face about this. I want us all to be protected. I mean, this guy walks in my office and holds an iPod out and said, "Hey, look what I bought. You know, $40." I said, it's a monocled python. I mean, a monocled cobra. And you're, you know, why? You have 2 little boys. This doesn't make sense to me. You know, and is your home clearly marked that you own venomous snakes? Do you have any signs?
No, but it's marked with cameras.
No, does
Cameras that
USDA
have-
require you to have a notice that,
No.
okay, see, that's the problem. You know, you guys talk about this in
USDA is not gonna require him to have, any kind of signage.
Oh, were you referring to
That's-
USDA?
well, then maybe that's what we need to consider if we're gonna allow people to continue to do this in Wilson County. You see, wait a minute, as a veterinarian, you and I are both veterinarians.
Yes, we are.
Our profession started because we'd go to farms and ranches to make sure that you had a wholesome food supply, and it was to protect the public. Today it's different. This guy shows me a monocled cobra, and it's next door to somebody's house because he's in an addition. Oh, well, his is in a locked box, in a locked tool shed. But, I mean, we've all are accustomed with the Texas Twister. That tool shed could be spread across your backyard in about 15 seconds. And then you've got a cobra that's mad. Now, I don't care about survivability, and I can argue your point, because in 2011, in July, Wilson County News reported on killing was it a python at Kycaster Creek, which is just right up from my house.
I saw the news article, but it was an albino. Somebody's escaped that.
Still ate a goat, a
as-
dog, and it
as
was
far
in a
as
chicken coop.
As far as dangerous animals go, I think you bring up some very good points and very valid points.
Thank you.
But I think you could say the same thing about pit bulls, about,
Yes.
Okay, well,
horses,
we're talking about snakes today.
Yes, we're
I
talking.
just want
yes.
you guys to
So
know
what
where
I'm
I'm
saying,
coming
excuse
from.
me for a
I've
second.
been going in the chicken house and eating some chickens any different than someone's dog getting in the chicken house and killing some chickens. Is there any difference?
We're talking about snakes now.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, but my point about bringing up those other animals, dogs, horses, and other things like that, is that, you know, there are going to be dangerous animals. There needs to be some regulations, I understand that.
There we go.
There need to be responsible ownership, but we need to decide, instead of scaring people into making legislative decisions, we need to educate them. That's what this group has done here today, to, you know, myself, I own a pit bull. There's a stigma that comes with that. But there's responsible ownership. And that's
They're
what
my
I think-
favorite breed.
And that's.
There you go.
And that's, you know, so you should certainly understand then that
There you
I don't necessarily need to put up a sign at my house that says I have a pit bull in it.
Right.
And, you know, there's some privacy issues here as well, and I think that's warranted, and I think that's something we need to respect from, whether it's a horse or a dog or a monocled cobra.
Well, and let's, just on that, the reason they're my favorite breed, because they're so misunderstood, and I think I took them because they were the underdog. They're a fabulous breed, but we're talking about snakes. And we're talking about survivability. This snake had to survive for quite a while to eat a goat, a dog, and then had to go back in and get some chickens.
It didn't eat
How
the
long,
dog.
wait a second, how long is,
It didn't
I
eat the
never
dog, it didn't
interrupted
eat the
you,
dog.
Dr. Parker, I never interrupted you. How long does a snake have to be out that is dangerous? 1 hour to kill a child. 1 hour.
But it has.
And that's what we're here to do, is protect the public. That's all I'm trying to do. That's cool that you own that and that you own your stuff, but I think you need signage. I mean, if we have a Texas Twister come through, and we have friends that are on the volunteer fire department, and they go out there and you've got cobras all spread out in your yard because we had a twister come through?
That's
They're
part-
not looking for cobras.
That's actually part of the regulations from North Carolina. Labeling,
Excellent.
species
Oh,
labeling.
Excellent.
Yes.
It's just not
I'm not
required.
against you
Before,
guys.
before
I'm
we
just
go
trying
any further, are you a resident of the county or somewhere else?
I'm Kendall County, sir.
Kendall County?
Yes, sir.
Would you and Dr. Hill get together with these regulations and see if y'all can agree on what protects everyone?
Yes, sir,
And-
absolutely.
And then come, put it back on the agenda and come back and, I think both of you reasonable people, you can look at it. If we're protected, that's all we want. If we're not, then we need to do something else.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Just, once y'all reach, y'all exchange information,
Sure.
once you reach some kind of agreement or impasse, whatever it might be, put it back on the agenda and we'll discuss it and see what we're doing.
And on the last note, I was just thinking about the public. I don't want to attack you guys. I'm gonna try to talk one of these guys out of their book. I'd like to get it. But, it's about the public, and we talk about survivability. Well, you know what, if they're in your cage and you got 10 of them in your garage, they're surviving.
Get
And
bugs.
so we don't have to worry about what the weather can do, you're feeding them. I will, thank you. So that's what it's all about, it's about public safety. Listen, we post speed signs out there because there's some people want to drive 100 miles an hour. And I'm not for voting and taking rights away. I mean, I did not like the idea that they voted that you couldn't smoke in a restaurant. I like the outcome, but I didn't like the fact that we lost rights. So I invite you, let's get together and let's come up with some really good bottom line restrictions that people have to have.
Hopefully that's contained in that deal in North Carolina. Y'all visit on it, see what you come up with.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Number 12, Deanne Hochak, EMC, discuss, approve the replacement of Larry Wiley, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Makes sense.
Okay, that's on the ACOG repack board.
Yeah, ACOG has a Regional Emergency Preparedness Advisory Committee. When the committee was first formed, the judge was the county representative that was on the committee. I was the alternate, the judge retired, and I'm the appointed person, and Mr. Wiley was the alternate at that time. Now that I have a part-time individual that does emergency management along with me, I would like for her to be my replacement. She's gonna be my alternate. She'd be going to the meetings with me anyway, and she'd be informed on what's going on and be able to serve as
Motion.
my alternate.
Commissioner Gomez, Commissioner Morales, all in favor? One abstain.
I guess so.
Item 13, Ralph Gebhardt, discuss, approve, disapprove, public paranormal session at the Jailhouse Museum.
Most of you know probably that I've talked to you about having some paranormal groups at the museum. And with their instruments, they need, I hate to say finding ghosts, or you will say. The point is, two of the groups want to have public paranormal sessions where people can come in and I'm heading up this is kind of what we're looking at doing. And I'm asking your permission to do that at the Jailhouse Museum. Basically, bringing, what we're doing now is groups come in and they're all paranormal groups. They want to have, make it open to the public. And like, we're looking at 10 people at a time.
You wanna see there?
Oh, yeah, I want to see them.
And Dana,
Yeah, we've got to, she wants us to, she's got a really good idea, and that is get some contracts together so that if county is protected, and that's the main thing. And I don't have a problem with that.
Well,
Well,
then-
I will just qualify this by saying, because of the activity that will be taking place, I think that waivers are definitely in order. However, I don't think that they would completely protect the county in the event of something taking place. If there was
I'm sorry.
Ghostbusters.
I'm sorry, I don't have that happen.
When you talk about liability like accident, that which would happen.
I mean, because in all likelihood, I mean, that's a foreseeable incident to take place.
Right.
It is done, I mean, you can't capture paranormal events in the daylight, so it
Yeah,
would
normally
be in the dark. The museum would be darkened at that time with minimal or limited light, and so,
Pretty much every one of these guys carries a flashlight, but that's.
and we are talking about bringing in the general public. I know that they have done this with the paranormal groups themselves. I wouldn't recommend it without waivers, however, those would still only be very limited in the protection of the county should an incident occur in one of those stairwells or, heaven forbid, along the lines of the gallows or the curse.
But I would think, see, we're in museums, so at Peanut Festival, and granted, it was daylight, but we had about 150 people came through there, plus about another 50 kids. So we had about over 200 people through there. And they're walking up and down stairs, and yes, it's not dark, but someone could fall there too.
Well, and my discussion with Ralph on that was a museum tour is a passive event. This is not going to be a passive event. These are going to
The
be
ghosts are gonna
active,
participate?
well, actively hunting for them in the dark. So, I have concerns about being able to adequately protect the interests of the county, should something happen. However, we can put in place waivers that may have limited effectiveness, should there be an issue.
I think you should get in contact with the liability insurance or
Oh, our one?
Frank? with Frank. I see what it covers on that. If we can do a waiver for that.
Cover the ghost tree?
If they were,
Well stated.
yes, sir.
Who's gonna do that?
Well, I suppose I would be the one to contact as far as the
If there's no
insurance.
problem with that, then we're not a problem with no waiver.
Yeah, because we're gonna, it's another entity, people that we serve, I mean.
You might ask, why am I doing this? Well, for two reasons. One, it gives me, I'm a tour guide, and it gives me more things to talk about. Secondly, we're making money. When we have like for a regular tour, we charge $2. When a group comes in, and we've had 7 groups come in so far, we charge $10 a head, or $10 donation, however you want to say it. But, so I've made over $600-700 now in the last 3 or 4 months, which we use to, like we had to buy an air conditioner, we had to buy we did a lot of we had a hanging party where we hung a lot of pictures, and that cost
You had a hanging party in the jail?
Yeah. That's what we call it. That's what we call
Sounds
it.
like that.
Yeah.
And don't forget your movie career.
I
Well-
don't think I have to worry about that. I don't think you'll let me.
When you make that in a motion, once contact Frank, Pruski, if the normal coverage is involved there, that we'll approve it based on the
That's fair.
Agreements and waivers.
I'll make a motion.
motion, Commissioner Gomez, second Commissioner Wiley, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that's very fair. Thank you very much.
Item 14, Thorne and Graves Architects, review and approval of the structural X-ray technician fee for floor X-rays of the proposed courtroom to support proposed structural improvements for the Wilson County Justice Center. Morning, sir.
Morning. Hello again. Okay, this is a proposal from one of our testing engineers to, this is sort of, it's a bit of a longer range request, but, and we sort of put it on the docket, took it off the docket on and off. It's a timing issue more than anything else, but we thought we'd put it on the docket just so that we could get approval for it. What this will enable us to do is send a testing crew out to basically x-ray the existing slabs of this building and the other building to find out where any steel is, plumbing, etc. So that enables us to give them a better accuracy where they do the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing distribution diagrams. We're going to have to cut into the slabs down in the old cafeteria, find out where the steel support needs to be for the new steel structure that's going up. So we're not going to, we want to have approval to have it. I will direct them where we actually do the testing itself, where it needs to be over for the entire area on the original plan. It's about 30,000 square feet, just this building, plus the new addition and up the other side. Where that's all necessary is based on the square foot.
Did any of the blueprints that we supplied have a structural diagram?
No. Never is. So it's some small, never happens. So I just want to approve that if we do need to do it, long term it's going to save us money because a lot of it's going to save the conjecture out there. Seeing what size lines we have, distribution in and out, the sewer lines, how the reinforcing is made, whether it's steel mesh.
And the cost for that?
8,500. And that, again, that's based on square footage, so we'll apportion it as per, the library is separate from the new Justice Center area, so.
So that 8,500 does the whole
That's for all of it, that's for everything, the library.
and the courtroom?
And the courtrooms.
And then I build up fence, you don't get your car post in, right? It's not-
Well, that's necessary to make certain the slab, that you know what you're doing.
Right. It saves, and it saves money at the end of the day when we come on the construction cost down.
Motion? Wyman, second, Mr. Powell, all in favor?
Aye.
Do you have some drawings?
I do.
Would you share them with us at this time?
Just some sketch outlines showing how we're coming together with the library and the main sort of exterior elevations. Over the next few weeks, I'm assembling actual material samples, stucco samples. We'll have the brick, the windows, the paneling, the metal paneling I'm looking at putting on the new addition. So we're sort of coming together with our massing now. And then probably within, I would say, within 2 months, I hopefully want to get together a 3D rendering of what the actual new facilities will look like from the exterior. We're just putting all the elements together. So, show it to you here. This here, so there's the library, we're coming, currently looking at the library, we're standing right here, right now, we're right in this room right here. What we're really anticipating on doing is, and you can write the board yet, but what I'd like to do is basically go out the entire interior, all the walls, take all the ceilings up. So that actually, the existing metal frame with the apex, the same all the way through. Then what we can do is we can rip spiral that same for the initial, just for when it gives us greater height and so. And then what we'll do then is actually drop in ceiling levels, create coating as the certain areas, create greater levels, spray the whole ceiling black. And then I've got an elevation here working on the entry here. It actually looks very well because it's got these ceilings where they are, the existing brick walls here, and we're looking at supplementing that and working that. So what I want to do here is create a new lobby, almost like an air curtain lobby. Will come in, so you'll set the space, and then you'll go into the building itself. And this area here, I'm looking as well for after hours as well as during the day, creating, this is due west here. So I want to make sure that this end, I'm looking at doing those pieces windows here, I want to create a metal shroud, perforated metal shroud that will come up top and to the side of the plastic structure. So we won't get like that folders so here. Secondly, create
Lots of bacon.
glass box here, so create a shape around the glass box. So bring light in, and it also sends a message of light out, that creates, it takes out the sun from those exposure. So, oh, this is the cover porch here, that we're looking at, that encapsulating bringing this part of the room. This is what we're looking at doing. So this is what we're looking at. This is sort of we're massing out now out of the front to the sides in terms of this is the courtroom on here. This is the side elevation here where the side port will be, and the side of the courtroom here. This is a break match line here, which then joins in here. So this is sort of like a new facade. So we're looking at putting letters in channel setting on the top of the wall. They'll be the lips and the lower light. And then this will be a glass box then. These here actually are I'm really bringing the industrial farm issue of Morrisville down into this design. So the steel work is all I-section steel and channel sections are reversing welded together. So it really brings that sort of farming industrial feel. So this whole assembly here will be glass, and this will create a shading element and then pull it up. So, and we don't have any. And then these are creating these shading elements then. So I feel and then here we're starting to bring our elements together. We're still working on this. Bring the elements to the shapes of the new courtroom. So again, this is what we're maxing. You need to see how the scale of this all looks. And this will develop over a few weeks then. I know it's sort of it's difficult to tell really what's going on. It's all up here with me right now. I just need to get it all to you. So. But I'll actually bring material samples in, you guys should touch and feel. And then when we render it, it'll actually be coloured. You can really see all the textures. It's a dreadful long building right now, so I'm trying to get your arms around the whole picture. This is the main street. This is where we're all parking. The church parks right there. That's that sidewalk. It's all the way across. All the same.
It's Valentine's Day.
No, we're going to do it. And this is the option as well then as well. These existing entities, one or two for fire. It's about use areas here, it's also option fire. Also, option 4, maybe we have a rolling gate that this will be after hours.
You really want to? Sure. I've already got a couple in mind.
Like the post office, you think they have all those very
I accept it. You feel better. Y'all feel good about the planning?
7 o'clock in the morning. I'll be in church.
You know, I, well, I can't emphasize enough how excited I am that the library needs to be met, the judicial needs to be met, the courthouse is being met. All probably for less than it would cost us to build any one of those entities, all three of them. And it's very important that we remember that and that it needs that the county has. And I couldn't be more excited about it.
Judge, sir?
Yes, sir.
Could Mr. Thorne maybe, can we have sort of a timeline? I'd kind of like to hear what the projection is.
Well,
Yes, I can do that.
okay.
What I'll do is, when we get together next week, I meet with the board next
Well,
week.
much of it's gonna be whenever we can get the bond sold and actually break ground on all of it. And what'll happen, we'll have to be in the courthouse before this can be completed. So that's kind of where we're at. Well, yeah, that'd be nice.
I do have a question.
Mention,
Sorry. Do you have an idea when you're gonna probably get some more finalized plans for the courthouse, stabilization and the courthouse? Just for the public information.
We'll need to actually get to do that next, because what we have currently, we've got a report of what's gonna happen, but we'll need to look at going into having a process and procedure of, okay, we're gonna start, doesn't matter when the date is, at X date, and almost have a work schedule, plus as part of that, we've obviously planned what we're gonna do for the clerks back then, which is reorganizing internally. So let me put some numbers together paper-wise on that, so we can look at how we can address that, to get a plan of action for that. I'll do that as well. Okay, makes sense?
Item 15, Leanne Hochak, MC. A, Easy Crossing, Unit 2, subdivision release of maintenance, letter of credit, $6,075.68, review and approve.
The roads, were constructed and letter of credit is released and we have the maintenance period. Is, fixing to expire, new commission out there, and you're satisfied with the maintenance of the roads, so it's.
Am I still on Commissioner's Court? I didn't get cut off.
You'll never know, you left the room.
Well, I was hurt. Yes, I looked at it and they're fine. So I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Wiley, second Commissioner Fowler, all in favor?
No.
Item B, 2012-2013 solid waste grant, waste equipment, non-approval payment of recycling roll-offs, $13,366.
That's the company that the recycling roll-offs come from. The roll-offs were delivered week before last, I believe. And I didn't receive an invoice yet, but I wanted to put it on the agenda so when it does come in, we can pay it and get reimbursement as soon as possible, because if there's any funds left, we might be able to use up some funds. So if I could get approval to pay it as soon as it does come in.
Motion. Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Gomez, all in favor?
You got the pass right deal.
I think we have our recycling meeting tomorrow.
Review temporary water line permits, number 1, Honeywell, it'd be 210 and 28, 4-inch poly line, and number 2 is Clayton Williams, County Road 201, Tara, 3-inch poly line.
And those are for
All
information
information
purposes
only.
only.
Item B, utility permit number 458, Oak Hills Water Supply Corporation, County Road 330, Precinct 2, review and approve.
This is the 12-inch line that brings across for the, McCoy number, and the deep fire hydrant put on it also. I'll move it
Motion, Commissioner Fowler, second Commissioner Gomez, all in favor? Number E, utility permit number 459, Picosa Water Supply Corporation, County Road 121, Precinct 1, review and approve. Commissioner Gomez, Commissioner Fowle, all. Motion carried. Unanimously. Item F, utility permit 460 Fiber Light LLC, County Road 344, Precinct 3, review and approve. Commissioner Morales. Motion Commissioner Morales, second Commissioner Wiley, all in favor? Item G, discuss and approve naming a private road, Zombic Lane, off FM 427, Precinct 2.
You look at this, right? Okay, this is just, it's east of, Cove, just a little ways past where the incident was last week, we thought. The vehicle in Canton. And that is a private road, it's a family piece of property that, has been divided up for years, and now they're slowly starting to move out there. It would be a private road, the length is about 0.85 of a mile, a little less than a mile.
Commissioner Fowle. Motion Commissioner Fowle, second Commissioner Gomez, all in favor? Item 8, non-standard flat variance request, James A. Boyden, review and approve.
Okay, this came before our Development Review Committee meeting this past Thursday, and this is an individual that owned a larger tract, and it's getting to be too much for them to take care of. And they did meet all the requirements with road frontage.
Motion Commissioner Fowle, Commissioner Wiley, all in favor?
Yes.
Item I, recreational vehicle park application.
Go ahead.
Nancy Ollinger, Windmill Crossing, RV Park, review and approve.
Okay, and this RV park development came before the committee on Thursday and was given a favorable recommendation. This RV park is going to be just out of the city limits of Lavernia, behind where HEB is, on 46, yes. And the developer is here, if y'all have any questions of her.
Commissioner Morales. Motion Commissioner Morales, second Commissioner Gomez, all in favor? Thank you. Item 16, minutes. Anyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Motion, Commissioner Gomez, Commissioner Wiley, all in favor? Financial report, item 17.
I just have personal changes.
Ma'am?
Personal changes. That's what I have.
Oh, okay, 18, payroll and personnel change.
Bear with me. Gloria Duran was transferred on 2/1/2013 to Department 320, transferred from hot checks to county attorney. Albert Gomez III was hired 1/17/2013, Department 420, $2,000 a month as a correction officer. I thought you were working 2 places a month.
I am working.
Randy Dacey 1/15/2013, hired Department 420, 2000 a month as a correction officer. Manuel Cantu resigned 1/14/2013, Department 501 as a deputy. Elias Guzman was hired 1/21/2013, Department 501, $2,500 a month as a deputy. Armando Lerma was terminated 1/14/2013, Department 180 as a road hand for precinct number 4. Catherine Reeves was hired 1/25/2013, Department 700, $8 an hour, part-time library clerk. Dawn Daly resigned 1/31/2013, Department 420 as a dispatcher. Elaine Tackett retired 1/31/2013, Department 502 as personnel director. Cindy Pruski resigned 1/31/2013, Department 360, part-time county treasurer clerk.
She can't leave.
Amber Guante was hired 2/1/2013, Department 420, $2,000 a month as a dispatcher. William Mays received a raise on 2/1/2013, Department 160 to $11.81 an hour, part-time road and bridge precinct 3. Benny Brooks, 2/1/2013, received a raise, Department 160 to $11.81 an hour, part-time road and bridge precinct number 3. Johnny Dagan, 2/1/2013, received a certificate, a masterpiece officer, and Department 501 for $25 a month extra. Ruby Camarillo was hired 2/1/2013, Department 380, $1,750 a month as a tax office auto clerk. Brian Davis was hired 2/1/2013, Department 580, $1,840 a month, county agent agriculture. Melanie Muchigamba hired 2/7/2013, Department 360, $1,113 a month, part-time county treasurer clerk. Teresa Fruit, FRUCHT, was hired 2/11/2013, Department 530, $1,750 a month as an EMA clerk. Victoria Mills was hired 2/11/2013. It's a transfer from Department, from EMA to Department 360, County Treasurer personnel.
It's not mean court right now, but I appreciate the call.
Carly Kitchens was hired 2/11/2013, Department 320, $4,333.33 a month as an assistant county attorney. Lisa Eberhard is going to transfer 2/18/2013 to depart from the auto clerk to Department 350, $1,700 a month into the county auditor's office.
Did you go over those again?
A little bit slower. Yeah, I think we missed one.
Sorry.
Anyone have any questions, comments? Not motion? Mr. Morales, Mr. Riley, all in favor?
No. You were abstaining.
Right.
You have to abstain for 42 weeks.
Okay.
Why?
I put you abstaining.
Why?
His son.
You doing a good job?
His son
Oh,
is on
I'm
there.
sorry.
Yeah. So, yes.
Item 19, Bill. Everyone had an opportunity to review the bill?
Okay.
Motion, Mr. Gomez and Mr. Morales, all in favor? Item 20, we adjourn.
Okay.